Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Kara Dangerous Talk. Actress Anne Heche, dead at 53 years old. She has finally been taken off of life support. For the last couple of days, she had been declared brain dead. So many had been reporting that she was dead, but she was still alive, hooked up to machines, keeping her breathing. The reports were that they were trying to make sure her organs were viable so that she could be an organ donor. That was her wishes, and her family were sticking to her wishes. On Care Dangerous Talk, I do a lot of Black content, but I had to do this story. I've been wanting to do it the last couple of days, but tonight I just had to go ahead and talk about it because it's something about this that really just it's just bothering my spirit because it's something about it that doesn't seem right. It's just that Anne Heche is a Emmy Award winning actress. I wouldn't say she's the biggest actress, but she was known. I enjoyed one of her movies just recently, starring Ashton Kutcher, even though it was back in 2009. The movie Spread. But I just have to say, I was so taken aback by the lack of, I don't know if the word support is the right word, but the lack of acknowledgement by other celebrities to the point that it had me thinking, did Anne Heche not have any friends in Hollywood? She's been in Hollywood for a very long time. I mean, just when I mean, we know that she had the car accident and she ran into the house, and we know how people feel about that, and justifiably so. But you telling me she didn't have anybody that just wanted to say, hey, even though this is a tragic situation, I just want to say something about Anne Heche. It just seems weird to me. We're gonna get into it all. We're gonna get into Ellen DeGeneres and Anne Heche's past relationship, and we know Anne Heche has talked about in the past how she felt she was blacklisted from the industry for a while. But what I want to do first is I want to take you guys to a video that I made, and I posted it on my Instagram. If you follow me at Care Dangerous Talk on Instagram, you probably have seen this video. But this is exactly how I feel, and that's why I want to play this video so that we got to start it off right, and I don't even have to say everything because I said it before. So let me go ahead and play this video right now, and then we'll come back and we'll get into it.
I was wondering why many celebrities weren't speaking out about Anne Heche's car accident where she ran into someone's house in California and destroyed the whole house. Drugs were found in her system, and she's not expected to make it. They are supposed to be taking her off of the ventilator, and it's just a sad situation. But what I'm seeing is that people are saying some really mean things, and even though she was in the wrong, I feel like it's okay to empathize with people. She's been through a lot in her life, and that's not to make an excuse, but when you research her background, she just had a hard time, and it's really a shame that she lost her life in this way. And I came across an article that said if any celebrity speaks out about it and wish her any well thoughts, that it will be frowned upon. And I think we can look at the person who lost their house and sympathize, and we can say we hate that happened to that person, but I don't think that you have to necessarily hate Anne Heche either. My grandmother was hit by a drunk driver a long time ago in her car. She survived, but you know, and I understand how they can make people angry, but I think sometimes you can show empathy on both sides.
So I gave a little bit of my own personal story, so that people can know how it hits home. Drunk drivers or drivers driving under influence have wrecked many lives and many families. Here's a photo of Anne Heche. Again, she is dead at the age of 53 years old. Now, in that clip, you heard me speak about the fact that not a lot of celebrities spoke out to even say condolences or anything. I mean, as days went on, you saw a little bit trickle here and there, but no, really, not many A listers, not even really any B listers, you know. But one of those articles, and this is just an example because it was a couple of them. This is an article by Daily Beast, and if you read the headline, it says celebs ripped for asking for prayers for Anne Heche. Um, and that's just precisely it. Precisely it. You know, I don't know if they feel like they will get some bad publicity for speaking out, but it's definitely something going on there. Alec Baldwin, you know, the actor that is kind of controversial, right? He says things, and he also recently was in the news because a prop gun actually shot somebody on set that he was using, and the person ended up dying. And so, you know, a lot of people are still in their feelings about that. But anyway, Mr. Baldwin on his Instagram page, he posted a video, you know, giving support, you know, wishing Anne well wishes to get better. And these are just a couple of comments, and you know, people just didn't agree that he should have said anything kind or anything nice. He says, one of the comments says, yeah, she was pretty irresponsible and lucky she didn't kill anyone, but hey. And then another person says, did you see how reckless she was driving and how she hit a building before she crashed? Did you see the Ring doorbell footage? She is lucky she didn't kill anyone. Now those comments aren't too bad, but if you go to his Instagram page, there are people who really go in on him about him making a video. Now, I'm not saying she wasn't in the wrong. I'm just saying that sometimes you can empathize with people on both sides. You know, she ran into a house with a car, and police said later it was cocaine found in her system, and maybe, you know, one other drug. I heard fentanyl, but I don't know if that is actually correct. But earlier that afternoon as well, she wrecked her car into a garage. But after that, she moved down and she hit a home. And reportedly, it took 59 firefighters to stop the fire and everything that was going on. 55 firefighters, more than an hour to fully extinguish the two-story home she crashed into. It was just totally messed up. Thankfully, the homeowners only suffered minor injuries. So just look how bad that car is beat up, just, you know, burnt. And you also see, you know what, let me do this first. Let me give you guys a trigger warning. Trigger warning. It's a little late, but just for you people who it may be a lot for your eyes, trigger warning there. If you see here on this picture to the top left, you'll see Anne is bent over. Now, you know, some people I saw today on blogs, they had it wrong. They were like, oh, trying to make it a conspiracy theory because Anne was also seen. People are calling it a body bag, but basically the emergency uh, personnel had her covered up, had her face covered up and everything. It's being reported that that might have been done to keep her face from being seen from the media. But a lot of people have this shot right here, as we can see. And reports say that this was the only moment that Anne was still conscious. And, you know, once she was in the hospital, she was in a coma. Of course, she suffered a very traumatic brain injury. She had some issues with her lungs. And, you know, also she suffered some severe burns. And if you can see the car wreckage, it looks horrible. It was incredible that she even survived to that point. Let's look at some more photos. You see they're putting the car up on a wrecker. And this is what happened in the beginning of her trip. Apparently, she was visiting a hair salon prior to all these car accidents happening, and this is when she ran into a garage. And at this point, she just continued to go. But I think the sad thing here is that this is, and I know people are so sick of hearing it, but this is another mental health issue. Mental health is not only a big issue in this country, it's a big issue all over the world because we have many cases of people who won't seek help, won't don't think they have a problem. And there's some people who know they have a problem, but they just do not want to um, uh, be disciplined enough and honest enough to continue their therapies. And it's easy to point your finger and say, well, why this person didn't do this or why that person didn't do that. But when you're dealing with people who have severe mental issues, a lot of times they don't want to listen to anybody. They want to handle things on their own. Um, they just you can't really help them. So you can't be that judgmental, but I always just try to advocate for mental health and therapy and tell people, it's good to have friends to talk to. It's good to talk to your parents, whoever, your pastor, or whatever. But if you need a non-biased opinion, you can pay somebody to listen and give you some techniques, give you some advice to help you. Or maybe you're someone who needs some medication. And as you know, sometimes people who need medication won't take the medication because they think they're okay. And when they think they're okay, they don't want to take the medication. So it's all sorts of things. Now, just getting back to the crash that happened in Los Angeles when Anne was driving her car, this is another picture of where she hit the front of the home. And here's another picture of her earlier in the day. I cannot figure out what that is circled. I believe this picture is from TMZ. I don't know if that's a bottle of alcohol. I would presume if it was a bottle of water, it probably wouldn't be highlighted. But obviously, Anne Heche has had problems with addiction before. If you ever seen her in any interviews, I want to say she's a little high strung, but you know how some people just come off a little wacky, like Jim Carrey comes off a little wacky. He's never been reported to have be on drugs, but I'm just saying she has that kind of personality where she just, just a different type of person. Seems like she would, you know, beat to her own drum or whatnot. So here are just some of the many firefighters that helped to put out that crash, the fire. But I want to take it real quick before we get into more to the Alec Baldwin video to see exactly what he said about Anne Heche and really what had people in an uproar. Because like I said, what really stuck out to me that is that not many celebrities have spoken out. Even Ashton Kutcher, and if I'm wrong, please tell me I'm wrong, but I have not seen that he said anything. And I mean, the movie he did with her was in 2009, but still, he speaks out on so many issues. I don't know, perhaps he's too busy speaking about the Ukraine war and wanting those people over there to get help because that's been his whole thing lately. That maybe he didn't even recognize what was going on. But without further ado, here's Alec Baldwin.
Hey, I just wanted to send out my best wishes and all my love to Anne Heche. Anne is an old pal of mine, and I did a movie with her, a very 90s thriller called The Juror with Demi Moore was the star of the film, and Jimmy Gandolfini had a small part in the film. Matt Craven was in the film. Meryl, of course, when I did It's Complicated. But there's not a lot of women I work with who were brave in the way that Anne is brave. I mean, Anne was really, really just, she would do anything. She would do anything. And we did, not a lot of crazy things in the movie, but she was very original and very brave. And then years later, we did that in 95. We shot that right before my daughter Ireland was born. And Anne and I were the two stars that played Julie Holst and a whole bunch of people. Great, great cast. Walter Bobby directed. And Anne got nominated for a Tony for playing Lily Garland. Lily Garland. And Anne was fantastic. She was so funny. I mean, she's an amazingly talented woman. And we did that back in 2002, 20 years ago. 20 years ago. And The Juror is 27 years ago. Oh my God. When I did Streetcar on Broadway, that's 30 years ago. So, God almighty, it's hard to believe. But anyway, I love you, Anne. I love you, and I think you're such a talented person, and I hope everything is okay. I hope you come through this, and my heart goes out to you. I'm sorry that you had this tragic thing happen to you, and I'm sending you all my love, okay? Everybody join me, please, in sending their support and love to The wonderful Anne Heche. Thanks.
Now, in that video, Alec Baldwin says Anne Heche is one of the bravest actresses he's worked with. Well, some may say you're brave, Alec, because you're one of the only top celebrities that have spoken out and said anything. I want to go to Anne Heche's children. She has two sons, and one of her sons is named Atlas, and her other son is named Homer. I got this from people.com, and also on people.com, her son Homer um, shared a statement where he says, after 6 days of almost unbelievable emotional swings, I am left with a deep, wordless sadness. Hopefully, my mom is free from pain and beginning to explore what I like to imagine as her internal freedom. Over those 6 days, thousands of friends, family, and fans made their hearts known to me. He continued, I am grateful for their love as I am for the support of my dad, Coley, and my stepmom, who continue to be my rock during this time. Rest in peace, Mom. I love you, he said. Well, that's something so beautiful for a son to say. His mom was a daytime soap actress, to my knowledge, in her earlier days. She was in Psycho, Donnie Brasco, um, a lot of movies with this guy here. Why can't I think of his name right now? That's not Harrison Ford, is it? No, that's not Harrison Ford. I can't think of the guy's name right now, but you know who he is. She was in plenty of movies, is my point, guys. And that's why it's so funny to me that, like I said, no one has spoken out. But I want to, before we get into the whole Ellen situation, I want to take it back to, well, I think it was five weeks ago now, where Anne was on location working, and things seems pretty normal.
Hey everybody, here in Boston, rocking a new character. Here in Boston, Joey Lawrence and his new wife Samantha doing a rom-com here and having an absolute blast on the harbor. Look how gorgeous. Have a beautiful day.
So there you go. Now, back in August of 2000, Anne reportedly she parked her car somewhere in California, I believe it was, and she walked to a stranger's house. Like, she didn't know this person at all. She asked, could she take a shower? The person was nice enough to allow her to take a shower. And then she said to the person, let's watch a movie. So I guess the person turned on the movie, but while she was watching the movie, this guy or person, they called the police, and it was later found out that she was a user of ecstasy. So, like, it's not her first run in with being known for being on drugs. And also, when you look into her past, she has a history of I don't know if, well, I guess I can say mental illness. She said for the first 31 years of her life, she was insane. She had a big interview with Barbara Walters back in the day. If you look at old clips of The View, Barbara Walters, talks to her like she was a special friend of hers. Um, Anne Heche seemed to have a difficult relationship with her own mother. She accused her father of molesting her, sexually abusing her when she was a child. And she also said that she believed she had genital herpes as a child as well, and that her mother wouldn't take her to the hospital and told her it was from a diaper rash. So, her mother claims that she wasn't telling the truth, but you know, I mean, when a kid tells you they've been sexually abused, that's not something you just kind of sweep under the rug. In 2001, Anne released a project called Call Me Crazy, where she admitted that she thought she was the half sister of Jesus, called Celeste. This is really something that she thought. So this kind of shows you her mind frame, and she wasn't really in a good place for a lot of these years. And also in her book, she explained that she had 5 siblings, and out of those 5, 3 were deceased. One of her siblings died of brain cancer. Another one had a heart defect in infancy. And then the third one, her brother, died in a car crash. prior to his graduate high school graduation. Now, Anne believes that her brother committed suicide in this car accident, but her mother tried to dispel those rumors and say that was absolutely not true. So if you see there, she kind of has a history of a dysfunctional family, to say the least. Um, and it just goes right back to mental health. But let's get into her and Ellen. She dated Ellen in the 90s, 1997, I believe, is when they first got together. And for both of them, they took a hit to their careers. You know, Ellen had her own sitcom at the time, and we've heard Ellen talk about the struggles even to get the show, and then how she was looked at on the show, and she got treated poorly in a lot of ways. Oprah even made a guest appearance on the show, and it was a big deal because she was on there. But Anne said that it was even to a point that she wanted to take Ellen to a date to one of her movie premieres, and they told her, if you walk her on the red carpet, you're gonna lose your deal. And Ellen told her, hey, babe, don't take me with you. And she said, no, we're going to go together. So they went together. And she said before the premiere of her movie was even over, they told her to leave the premises, and they escorted her out. And this is when she said the blacklisting started. Um, and when Ellen was going through the whole Ellen's mean thing, I think Anne might have said a few comments that really weren't taking the side of support for Ellen. But paparazzis caught up with Ellen, and she did say that she didn't want anybody to be hurt. I mean, what else is she gonna say? She can't take any bad press right now. If somebody bomb rushes you, that's all you're gonna say. She also said they haven't talked in years. If you've seen recent interviews with Anne Heche, she also said she hasn't talked to Ellen in years. But Ellen did tweet about this whole ordeal with Anne. She said, "This is a sad day. I'm sending Anne's children, family, and friends all my love. All my love." So, what can we say about this? What do you think? Do you think there's a reason why celebrities aren't speaking out more about this? Or do you think it just comes down to the fact that when you get behind the wheel of a car and you're intoxicated or you're under influence of drugs, then people just shouldn't have anything good to say about you? Nothing in your life no longer matters, just that moment you made that mistake. The reason that I'm saying it that way is that because in my life at this point, I am so into understanding grace and that we all need some. Now, that doesn't take away what we have done, but it's just to say that sometimes we have to humanize people. I shared in that clip earlier that um, when my grandmother, I believe, was around 70, she was hit by a drunk driver. Now, even though my grandmother survived, we used to say that my grandmother started having issues with walking with her one of her legs, and we know that it had to be because of this drunk driver and this accident. And of course, people in the family were upset. But what does so much hate do for you? It just poisons you. You don't have to forget, okay? You can decide if you want to forgive, okay? But does that just destroy everything you knew about the person? I just want to know, that Anne Heche not have any redeemable qualities? I mean, I just am I the only one who's really surprised that, like, no, it's like nobody has said anything. I mean, it's just crazy to me. I'm not even like her biggest fan or nothing. It may seem like it, but I'm really not. I'm just very curious to why nobody has said anything. And I also just want to know, are people sick of hearing mental illness? We have Nicole Linton, the nurse, the traveling nurse, 37 years old, Windsor Hills, Los Angeles, going 90 miles per hour down a street, straight through the red light, and she's now she's in prison because she killed a bunch of people. And the first photos they show are photos where, I mean, let's just be honest, they want to make her look a certain way. Disheveled, a little, a little kooky. And you would think I would have the original picture, but you've seen it all over everywhere with the picture with her hair nice and straight and, looking like, a Girl Scout, looking like somebody who wouldn't be in this predicament. But now she is being called the murderer of six people. She's facing 6 counts of murder, 5 counts of vehicular manslaughter with gross negligence. Her bail is set to really high. I want to say it's $9 million. Check out this other photo of her. Now, this screams insanity, right? But many of her coworkers are saying they are just surprised at this. They said Nicole was so professional. But then we hear the rumors about she had just broken up with her boyfriend and it sent her over the edge. People are saying that ever since she broke up with this guy broke up with her, she has not been the same. She's been volatile. So many people are thinking this was a suicide attempt. But again, you know how people are. They say to themselves, if you feel suicidal, and not that anybody's wishing anybody to be suicidal, but why you have to bring other people into this? Deal with yourself. I always tell people when you're driving, you're at the mercy of other people. That's why you have to pray every time you go out there, because you never know. Somebody make one wrong move. Somebody just decide to put their emotions out there and just want to hurt themselves. It affects so many other people. We all got that decision. We all got that choice. But I have to say, the victims' families, they are fed up. When you watch the clips on the news, I know some of the family for two of the women that were recently identified are right here. They were two friends going to shop that day. Lynette Noble, 38, Natija Lewis, 43. Their families are sick of the mental health. They call it an excuse. And a lot of them are saying if it's a mental health thing, why isn't anybody there at the site where the visuals are? Why aren't they at the gas station where this event happened, passing out flyers or trying to give the families therapy and help? Because a lot of them have PTSD now. The people who were in the accident who weren't hurt, they were on camera talking, saying how being in this accident has really traumatized them. One lady was in an SUV with her son, and she said her and her son they're glad they made it out, but it's like that survivor's remorse where you don't understand why you made it. Here's the end of that car accident. I'm not going to show the video because that video is a lot. And I think seeing it over and over becomes too much. And probably YouTube would take it down and say that it's a violation of some sorts as well. But this is it, another fiery crash. So you ask yourself, what would make Nicole do this? What I find just is the word I shouldn't use the word funny, but her prior boyfriend, they said, died from a motorcycle accident. And this is the way she chooses to take out her frustrations, perhaps, allegedly. This a horrific scene. So you never know what's going to happen when you drive. And that's why a lot of people in this neighborhood in Windsor Hills say that even driving by this spot just makes them cry, just makes them tear up. Now, the victims that you guys seen first was this family right here. This young 23-year-old woman who was on the way to a doctor's appointment with her boyfriend in the car. She was pregnant with her next child, and she also had her 11th month son with her. They all died in this accident. Just horrific. You've seen her sister on media outlets talking and taking interviews. Now, Nicole Linton, again 37. It's also been reported, which it may not mean anything to you, but you know, when something happens, they dig into people's backgrounds. She was reportedly, before being a nurse and getting her license, she worked in strip clubs. If that means anything to you, I don't know, but there you go. So far, no evidence of drugs, but it was one person that was reportedly saying that they had a couple of drinks with her before, but they haven't really said anything more about that, whether that was true or false. So I'm going to take it as false for now. But of course, now we're being hit with Miss Linton here had a history of documented profound mental health issues. And she actually threatened suicide after her breakup. What I have to say here is that she had 13 accidents prior. 13. Do you know how high car insurance is when you don't even do anything? It's high as hell. She had 13 accidents. Who paying for her car insurance? And when you have 13 accidents, are they not looking at you? Do you not need to take another driving course? Do you not need to be checked to see if you have some issues at 13 wrecks? 13 wrecks. She's not a NASCAR driver. She's just a regular person, a nurse. And as a nurse, I guess I know plenty of nurses, and I guess I should have asked. I mean, I guess there can be nurses that have mental issues. I mean, yeah, but 13 car accidents, and she's still on the road. Sister, what kind of car insurance did she get? Because I don't even think most of them will take you when you got 13 wrecks. She must have had a sugar daddy or something, because my goodness, 13 wrecks. And then I found this clip right here. And somebody wrote, this clown didn't look like she had any major injuries to me other than the bleeding from her head. So this is Nicole right after the accident. If you look in the picture and you look in the distance, you'll see the fire from the accident. And I don't know who these two other women are, maybe other survivors from the crash, or there's people that came to help. Can you imagine causing a scene like that and then sitting to the side and having to watch what you did? I mean, I've been in car accidents and I hit a car and I felt just terrified. I felt so hurt just to see that I hit somebody and to see that, something happened to them. And, that's a lot to deal with on its own. I really want to see how this case turns out, because I feel like with mental health being such a discussion on so many of these cases, I wonder, will it change anything about how people look at it? Let's take another look at the intersection at Windsor Hills. This is seconds before she drove through that intersection. I mean, just think about it. You're just driving your car, listening to your music, and then bam, anything can happen. And it happens just in a blink of an eye. And that's why it's so important to guys not to text and drive, not to be distracted, because we really are driving for each other. It's just a sad situation. When you see the families and how hurt they were, they didn't even know that it was their family members who were in this car accident and who had passed away. When it comes to these two women here, Lynette Noble and Atija Lewis, they had no idea until they saw it on the news. Mm, mm, mm. Just I just want to just give my condolences to everybody on each side, because what I have to say is, like in the Anne Heche situation, with how people were talking about it, it's like you're gonna pay for your life either way if justice is served, okay? Because all the time justice is not served. But with the Anne Heche case, she was gonna pay, okay? She had drugs in her system; they were gonna have to get her, okay? She paid for her life. She was gonna go to prison if she woke up. If she didn't wake up, which she didn't, now she's deceased. She has now paid for this mistake with her life. And she doesn't get off easy. It's not getting off easy. Depression is so real. And you guys have to understand how important it is to have unshakable faith. I have to work on this even with myself, to try to control your thoughts. When you feel yourself going down and feeling sad, you have to continue to try to move forward and press on and continue. If you get a negative thought, you try to clear your mind and put something positive there. Read, do something to occupy your mind. Don't let your mind become the devil's workshop. My mother always told me that. Do not let your mind become the devil's workshop. For a lot of us, that is so easy for that to happen. You have to stay focused. You have to believe in something bigger than yourself, because this world is getting crazy. On trending topics this past week, me and Ron heard the second from We All Be TV. We talked about inflation and the growing prices, especially grocery, medical bills, vet bills, all the prescription drugs, everything. Gas high, it's high. I'm surprised they ain't paying. We ain't got to pay for air. My whole point is that this life has never been easy, but it don't seem to be getting any easier. It seems to be getting more challenging and harder. And for us to survive, we must stay strong and we must stay committed. You have to stay focused. It's not going to get any easier, people. You see how it's getting crazier every single day. People on social media just so rude, so mean. You can say the sky's blue. Somebody going to argue with you. They're going to curse at you. It don't, I mean, social media is it's just it's good and it's bad because people misuse it. People think because they can hide their hand and they can just say whatever they want to you, but what it does is it just put out a lot of negativity out here in the atmosphere. And I know so many people who've told me that they had to step away. They had to disable their accounts. They had to stay logged out until they just really had to go on because it affects their mental health. And there's a lot of stun and there's a lot of front and there's a lot of Joes trying to keep up with the next. You have to stay built up on your faith or you're not going to make it. We are in some crazy times. Depression is real. If you know somebody that needs help, please try to give them the information they need. You can't help everybody. I'm just going to preference that. You know, I had somebody in my own personal life that I know that was talking to me about suicide a couple of times every time I talked to them. And I told this person, look, I'm not in a place where I just want to talk about suicide all the time. And unfortunately, this person didn't want to respect that. And they said, well, I'm depressed and you don't want to talk to me. What kind of friend are you? But I was being a friend because I offered some advice on how she could get help. I offered some guidance on how she could change the situation, but she just kept passing up everything I had to say. So she didn't really want to hear anything. She just wanted to suck my energy and just wanted to keep saying no. People like that, they need professional help, and a lot of times you can't help those kind of people. You have to know when to walk away as well, because some people they just like to stay down there until they can see something different. But what I'm talking about is, give people the information. They have it. You can keep trying to tell them if you want. That's totally fine. But we have to be here for each other. And not only that, we have to start showing a little bit more compassion. We need to start being able to sympathize a little bit more, show a little bit more empathy, just be a little bit more kind to people. Just say hello, how are you doing, and really mean it. So many times you say hello, how are you doing, and people just skip right over and go, I'm good, I'm good. They don't even hear what you say. One day test it out and say, I'm doing bad. And I bet they say good, 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 good. Because they ain't listening to you. It's just an automatic response. It's automated. It's just automated. Nobody's listening. Nobody's caring. We got to get back to caring. I mean, I made a video about home phones and landlines because those days were special when you had. I mean, if you were rich, you had more than one phone. But some people had one home phone, or you had one here and one in the other room. But the point is, only one person can be on the phone at a time. the reason I'm bringing that example up, because back then people reached out to people. You knew everybody's phone number. Now you probably don't even know 3 phone numbers in your phone. You don't know them. We used to remember things about people that were special to them. We used to reach out to people. I mean, let's talk about writing a letter. When the last time you just romantically just wrote somebody a letter? I'm thinking about writing my grandmother now. God bless her. She's 96 years old. And I'm so happy and I'm so blessed for that. But step out of your comfort zone. Do something sweet and kind for somebody. Like, I'm a giver and a receiver. I love to give. Giving makes me feel good. I love the way giving somebody a gift feels. Or giving somebody a kind word. Can we go back to that, please? I just want to end this interview with saying I didn't say that any one of these women were right in anything that they did, because they're not. They were totally wrong. I'm just saying sometimes let's humanize people. Rest in peace to Anne Heche, and may it be an example to people who have problems with addiction. May examples like this that end tragically inspire you, and maybe inspire is not the right word, but maybe help you to understand that what you're doing isn't what you need to be doing and you need to seek help. Maybe somebody out there that sees the issue with Nicole Linton, and maybe they just broke up with somebody, and maybe they say to themselves, it's not that serious. Don't ever let somebody else drive you to destroy your own life. Because let me tell you something, whether you're a man or a woman, you will be wanting to hurt the person that you used to be with, who broke your feelings and broke your heart. But they gonna go on with their life. They already done went on with their life. So her driving 90 miles per hour, going through there, and she still lived. Look at that. You still lived to face what you did. But all these other people are gone. And that man you were worried about, he still ain't gonna be with you. You're gonna be in prison. You would have had a better chance being back with him if you wouldn't have did this. You see how mental illness lies to you? You see how depression lies to you? You see how that little devil on your shoulder will lie to you? You gotta silence that voice, because it's lies. You have to silence that voice and do not believe the lies. I'm just going over and over and saying that because, guys, I'm pleading with you with the blood of Jesus to fight for your life. Fight for your life. You know, many years in my life, I've lived and haven't even been living. My mom told me, Kara, live. Live. And if you feel like you aren't living, I want you to start this in this moment. Start living. Make you a list. Write it down. Start living. This is your time right now. Time is the most important thing. You can't ever get it back. Do the things that are important to you and live a good life. Guys, this has been an episode of Kara Dangerous Talk, and I'll see you guys next time.